part 2 of flight planning, we're actually going to program the flight from Los Angeles to San Francisco. Now you'll notice here on the left we have a screen that may or may not be familiar to you. This is called the control display unit, and this interfaces with the flight management computer. So if I press the F2 key, that will hide or display the CDU. Now, the CDU and FMC, or the flight management computer, are really interchangeable terms. So if you hear someone say CDU or FMC, they're really referring to what you see here on the screen now. Now, when the simulation first starts, we are presented with this screen. We're going to bypass this screen because we're interested in flight planning. So the first thing we need to do is go down to this button here, which is called RTE, which stands for route. So we press this button, which displays the main page for entering the route. Now at the top here, we have the words RTE, which are the title for that page. And on the top right, we have 1/1, which means this is page 1 of 1. Now underneath we have words like origin, company route, runway. These are all titles. And underneath the titles, we can input data. So what we're going to do now is type into the flight management computer using the CDU, KLAX. So down the bottom here, KLAX. And this is displayed in this section here called the scratch pad. Now if you make a mistake, I'll just stick a W on the end. You press the clear key down the bottom here. If you want to use the keyboard, you can as well, so KLAX. Now we're going to enter that into the origin. So we press the button here to the left of this input here. Now these keys up here are called the line select keys. These are the ones on the left, and we also have line select keys on the right. They're also referred to as LSK1 for line select key 1, or LSK5 for line select key 5. Same for the right hand side. So now that KLAX is entered into the scratch pad, we'll press line select key 1, and the origin airport for our flight is KLAX. Now notice over here on the navigation display, KLAX is displayed in white. I'll just turn off the other airports, and you can see that there. And you can see that I have positioned the aeroplane already on runway 25 left. So we can enter 25 left into the flight management computer. So 25L. And we enter that here into this runway on line select key 3. Now before I press it, just keep your eyes over here on the ND above the triangular aeroplane symbol. Okay, I'm going to press line select key 3 now. And you'll notice that the symbol for the airport has disappeared, and we are displayed with, I'll just zoom in a little bit for you, the runway itself with these white lines here, and dashed lines extending out from the center line of the runway for 14.2 miles, which is roughly here. So you can see if I now turn the aeroplane, you can see exactly where we are. So we're on runway 25 left, and we'll just line the plane up there. We'll just slew it across to the right a little bit as well. So we've now entered the first part of planning the route. I'm now going to enter the destination, which is KSFO for San Francisco, and up here on the right we enter it as a destination. Now you'll notice above the word dest, the page has gone from 1 of 1 to 1 of 2. So we now have 2 pages accessible to us in the route section. Down here we've got previous page and next page. So if I press next page, you can see we're now on page 2 of 2. Press next page again and it wraps around to 1 of 2. If I'm on page 1, I can hit previous page, it goes back to page 2 of 2. Now if you remember, we're going to be flying out over the ocean up to our first waypoint, and we'll have a look at the map. Here's Los Angeles here, and we're going to fly out to our first waypoint called murmur. So go ahead and enter that into the CDU here. So a murmur, I'll type it in because it's quicker. And in this column here which says 2, I press line select key 1R or 1 right. Okay, we're flying via, and in this case it's called direct to murmur. Now have a look at the CDU here. I'll just slew the aircraft slightly. I shall turn it around, that might be easier. You can see that we have a cyan dashed line out to our first waypoint called murmur. We also have the word activate at the bottom of the CDU, but we're not finished programming the flight yet, so we'll enter some more waypoints. Let's go back to our map. So from murmur we'll fly out to exert, come back here, and I'll just expand the display. Exert, enter that down here below murmur, and you can see the dashed cyan line takes us from murmur to exert. What I'm going to do now is just turn the aeroplane around, and I'm going to bring up the stations, which are the VORs, and we're going to plan straight to this VOR here, RZS. So if I enter RZS, you can see now this cyan track is taking us up to the station. So we've actually got 3 parts of the flight plan entered already. I'll just turn off the stations. We'll just bring the airplane around back to the runway again. So what we've got to do now is activate the flight plan. I'm not going to program it all the way up to San Francisco. I'm just going to show you how to program the CDU, and we press activate. Now notice here on the ND that the dashed line has now turned white. That means we're about to execute it. On the CDU we have the word EXEC standing for execute on this button, and a green LED underneath it. Now when I press this button, the flight plan becomes active and turns magenta. So I'm going to press that now, and a number of things happen. At the top here on the route page it says active route. We have over here on the ND a magenta line taking us to murmur, to exert, and up to our VOR, RZS. And underneath we have the times that we're going to arrive there. Now I'm going to turn that off because they're not actually needed at the moment. That's the D key on the keyboard, D for data. Okay, so that is a very simplistic overview of entering waypoints into the CDU, and in the next tutorial we're going to take a closer look at that and look at it more efficiently.